This is the unbelievable way that this man survived the Titanic. Charles Joffin was a 30-year-old living in Southampton, England when he signed on to be the chief baker on the Titanic. He was due to earn a monthly wage of £12 in 1912, or £1,753 today, or $2,251. This wage made him one of the best paid crew members on board, with a staff of 13 bakers, aka a baker's dozen, under him. When the ship hit an iceberg on the evening of April 14th, Charles was off duty and in his bunk. According to his testimony, he immediately felt the shock of the collision and got up. He heard that the officers were getting the lifeboats ready for launching, so Charles sent his 13 men up to the boat deck with food for the lifeboats. He had a drink in his room before heading up to the boat deck to help load women and children onto the lifeboats. When some women ran away from the lifeboats saying that they were safer aboard the Titanic, Charles went to the A deck and forcibly brought women and children to the lifeboats, throwing them in, knowing that they needed to escape. Although he was assigned to Captain Lifeboat 10, Charles gave his spot away to someone else and went below deck to drink a half-full tumbler of liquor. When he came back up to the boat deck, all of the lifeboats had been lowered. And obviously some of these pictures are from the movie. It wasn't like while everyone was panicking, they were like, hey, let's get a quick shot of you drinking from the bottle. So Charles went down to the A-deck promenade and threw about 50 deck chairs into the water so they could be used as flotation devices. He went to the deck pantry on A-deck to get a drink of water and heard a loud crash, so he ran up to join the crowd that was running on the poop deck. The ship suddenly listed, which means that it took on water and was tilted to one side, which threw everyone except for him. Charles climbed and grabbed a hold of a safety rail, so he was on the outside of the ship as it went down. While the Titanic was sinking, he rode it down like an elevator from the very top of the ship, making him the last survivor to leave the Titanic. Now in the water, he kept paddling and treading water for 2 hours, saying that he hardly felt the cold. And keep in mind that this water was freezing at about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. But also he was drunk. When daylight broke, he spotted the upturned collapsible B lifeboat, which had about 30 men standing on the sides of the boat. Charles swam towards it, but there wasn't any room for him. However, one of the men recognized him and held his hand while he held onto the side of the boat with his legs and feet still in the water. And this is from a deleted scene in the movie. Remember, he has now been in the freezing water for hours, and many had died of hypothermia or cold shock for being in the water for way less time. Exposure to water of that temperature can lead to death in as little as 15 minutes. After a while, another lifeboat appeared, and Charles swam to it and was taken in until the RMS Carpathia rescued them. Amazingly, the only negative effect he had from being in the cold water for so long was that he had swollen feet. After surviving the Titanic, Charles eventually moved to New Jersey, where he died in 1956 at the age of 78 after 2 weeks with pneumonia. It's still kind of a medical mystery as to how he was able to survive for 3 hours in the freezing water. However, many theories suggest that him being drunk allowed him to be calm and not lose much needed energy to panicking. Some think that the vasodilation from drinking alcohol helped him fight hypothermia and cold shock when he entered the water. Whatever the explanation, it's a pretty unbelievable story.